Merry Christmas, everyone. Kinda.
The third DLC for Risk of Rain 2 has just dropped, and I've got to say that I am impressed that I can play the game without my second Xbox controller deleting all my save files. This will be the first expansion release after the absolute train wreck that was Seekers of the Storm. An expansion so buggy and confused on launch that they took a year just to fix it. With all the lessons that they hopefully had learned from that experience, paired with a positive reception from YouTubers with an early beta, Alloyed Collective was shaping up to be a massive improvement over Seekers of the Storm. So, did all our wildest dreams come true? Is Alloyed Collective the proper Risk of Rain 2 expansion we were all craving? Let's dig into it. The first thing to be acknowledged, living in a capitalist society, is the quantity. Seeing as each DLC, including Alloyed Collective, are priced at $15, I think it is fair to directly compare and contrast the included content. In terms of items, we've received 18 new ones, not including any of the quest items. This is the exact amount added in the previous DLC, but sadly not anywhere close to Survivors of the Void, which added a whopping 41 items to the pool. I'd be okay with this statistic, but the truth is that only 13 of the 18 items are obtainable outside of the new route, with 5 of the items being locked behind beating what is essentially a new final boss. I think the idea of having 5 unique items as rewards for completing an optional objective is pretty cool, but there just aren't enough remaining to justify the split in my opinion. But there is a pretty good reason why they don't have as many items in general. On top of reworking the AI and stats of every drone in the game to make them more effective and less stupid, they also added 7 completely new drones with their own rarities. These drones have some really unique mechanics, from picking up enemies and dropping them to applying freeze to enemies capable of executing them. There's even a new drone that spawns temporary items. What are those? Well, they are a new type of item that you can obtain in a number. In total, 4 new interactables. It's a bit too close to the mic. In total, 4 new interactables were added to the game, which is on par with the other DLCs, if not a little more. You can scrap drones, combine drones, and even select a drone to buy from a drone multi-shop. There's just a lot of drones in this DLC. And this holds true for the enemies as well. The DLC comes with 6 new regular enemies and 2 new teleporter bosses, all drone themed. This is a pretty substantial improvement over Seekers of the Storm, which only had 3 enemies and 0 teleporter bosses, but still a bit under Survivors of the Void, which had 9 enemies and 2 teleporter bosses. But what's an enemy without a stage to fight it on? Not including nighttime variants, because who the fuck cares. Alloyed Collective comes with 4 new stages outside of the new route and 3 new stages exclusively for the new route. This is an improvement over Survivors of the Void, which contains 3 regular stages and 2 special stages, and Seekers of the Storm, which contains 4 regular stages and 1 special stage. And last but not least, this DLC contains 2 brand spanking new survivors, on par with Survivor of the Voids 2 and just beneath Seeker of the Storms 3. So overall, we have some ups and downs from previous expansions, but in general, there isn't too much of a gap between either previous DLC. So now, it's time to dig one layer deeper and explore the quality of its contents. But before we do that, I just want to mention that according to YouTube stats, only 1.9% of people blah 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 blah. Starting with the items, I'm glad to say that we don't really have any true stinkers in the pool like we did with the last 2 DLCs, but that could also just be because we have far less to look at than those 2. While I do think that some items are more powerful than others here, I think that there's a pretty healthy balance overall, with one exception that I absolutely need to talk about: Faraday Spurs. Faraday Spurs, whatever the fuck that means, is one of the new green items. The lesser of 2 evils is the fact that I just don't really like the way the item looks, just being in my opinion a bit strange looking. But the really important thing to talk about is its effect. This item is absolutely crazy, providing the single most movement speed out of any item in the game, 160% if the wiki is to be trusted. I had literally just made a video where I state that the uncommon pool is lacking in speed items, and I guess Gearbox heard my call one day before the DLC released and made this thing. Basically, as long as you don't jump, you can build up ridiculous amounts of movement speed with this thing. I have 0 other items in this clip, and look how fast I'm going. Of course, I don't think that this is nearly as atrocious as Unstable Transmitter following the first Seekers of the Storm patch, but this item needs to be tuned down. If a patch isn't out before I make my new item tier list video, which I am definitely going to make soon, this is going smack dab at the top. In advance though, I'd like to give a shout out to one of my new favorite items in the game: Functional Coupler. This is an item idea that I've been wanting for over a year now, and I'm so glad they finally found a way to make it. This single item opens up so many double equipment synergies that were previously locked behind playing Retool Multi, and I've been having tons of fun testing them out. So moving on, I'll just say that the drones are all fun and dandy and skip over them. Yippee! When it comes to enemies, I think it can just be a bit hard to tell what anything actually does at first glance. All of the new small enemies look very similar, boasting mostly the same color palette and size. But honestly, I think it's completely fine. It's important that the enemies are fairly stagnant so that your eyes will better lock onto the important things. Like this new little bubble here. This is the attack of a Soulless Invalidator, and if it hits you, you temporarily lose all item effects for a short duration. I was really scared that this could get quickly out of hand when these guys were first teased, but I am pleased to say that they have very predictable and short range. There's also 2 new teleporter bosses. The Soulless Amalgamator is a pretty standard TP boss with the same general idea of running around them in circles and just shooting until they die, but the Alloy Hunter is really fucking cool. This teleporter boss is exclusive to the new Conduit Cannon stage. They fly around and splash you with explosives, shoot tracking beams, and rain down God's wrath from the heavens above. This is definitely a much scarier teleporter boss than any that have come before it, and it is a nice change of pace getting an unpredictable aerial enemy that running in circles around won't work on. And since we're already on Conduit Canyon, why not talk about the new stages now? So, I mean, I honestly don't really care for the new regular stages. The first one you can encounter is this snowy biome with a bunch of alloy remnants scattered about, and I mean, it's pretty festive, I guess, and it's cool, but we already have 2 snowy stages in the game. But whatever, it's fine, it's nice. Next, we have a desert biome with a bunch of alloy remnants scattered about, and okay, this one is just more drab and bare, and it's repeating the same theme as the previous one while also using the biome of another 2 existing stages, being the desert. So I mean, as long as the 4th one, it's like, wait, what the fuck? This stage is awesome. Okay, so this is like me during editing. I just realized that I had never actually seen this stage 4 and I thought that a different stage was the stage 4. So I'm stupid. This stage is actually very cool and awesome. So anyways, on to the new stages. Conduit Canyon has a remarkable deviation from Risk of Rain 2 norms, with essentially a path you need to follow to reach the end of the stage, and a very unique stage layout that actually gets you feeling like you're in something new. Then once you get into Solutional Haunt, suddenly you're in this massive underground cave system where you get to fight the Soul Swing in one of the coolest arenas in the game. This just gives huge raid boss vibes, and I love it. Then you basically get transported into a different game with the 2 final stages, being put in what looks like the Risk of Rain 2 Matrix. This is a worthwhile set of stages, each being unique and offering something in gameplay and visuals that hasn't been done before. And since we're still in spoiler territory, it's best time to talk about the new final boss, Sizz. Starting with the Soul Swing, I gotta say that I love this guy. They finally managed to make a final boss in a DLC that isn't completely fucking stupid. It hovers completely still in the middle of the arena and does a series of attacks that force everyone to be on their toes while not forcing ridiculous strategies, like hiding behind rocks or floating beneath the map. I do think that he might have a bit too much health for having only a couple attacks before the heat vents activate, so I hope that Gearbox could swoop in and knock down his numbers a little. I also think that trying to deal effective damage to him as melee survivors is unnecessarily difficult because of the massive range of his burst attack. And this rings especially true for Drifter, who we will be talking about later. So you take the big guy out and you can move on to the next stage, where you have access to the new crafting mechanic. This shit is extremely busted, and I genuinely have no clue how the hell this system is supposed to be balanced. You can combine a Hopu Feather and a Wax Quill to get head stompers, like what the actual fuck. But honestly, I'm completely fine with the system existing for now, as you'll need all the help you can get with this next part. After giving the Wrinkly Testicle to Retinazer, you can proceed to the final stage in the new route, where you get the pleasure of fighting whatever the fuck this thing is. Okay, listen, this is an initial impression video. I cannot yet say whether or not I truly like this boss from a technical perspective, but I have to ask, what is this supposed to be? I feel like they could have gone so many great ways with designing this boss, but they actually just chose the worst possible option. This is just lazy. But in terms of the actual boss fight itself, I genuinely have no clue. I died him twice and beat him twice, and all 4 times I had no idea what was happening. Sometimes he turns big, sometimes he turns small, sometimes you're just playing Spleef, sometimes big white laser of death. I'm gonna leave this guy with a mild stare of confusion for now, but I will probably end up revisiting this topic once I put more time in with the DLC. But now it's time for what you've all been waiting for, the survivors. I'm gonna take the liberty of starting off with Drifter because I'm a lot more mixed on her, at least with her default abilities unlocked. Hey, so it's me in the editing booth again. So I finally unlocked all of Drifter's ult abilities, and I gotta say that her ult special makes her so much more enjoyable because it's no longer some stupid gimmick and instead a very useful tool. So yeah, she's still not my favorite, but I like her a lot more now. She is short, slow, and very close range. I also just don't like her adapted design besides the fact that she looks like Orange Crewmate. Maybe I'll warm up to her in time, but honestly, I just don't understand how we got her instead of Enforcer. But that being said, I love Operator. This little goober is the shit. Literally everything about him is perfect. The drone synergies, the movement, the damage, the way he feels and looks, perfection. I literally have no complaints about him. Best survivor released in any of the DLCs easily, no further words. And I guess the very last thing to mention is the new music. I've got to say, in the most blunt way possible, I do think that the music this time around doesn't quite live up to the previous OST. This is largely because the music isn't made by decade-long composer Chris Christodoulou, and instead by new composer Stavros Marconis. While there are a few tracks that I really love, I think the primary issue this time around is that the music is just a bit too safe and straightforward. Chris was always known for adding just a bit extra to his tracks. He loved to use exotic instruments to create rich and unique atmospheres, long synth solos to create a sense of epicness, and genre blends to create a musical coalescence unlike anything else seen in the video game industry. Alloyed Collective trades this vast variety for a very focused and unwavering soundtrack. One that does the job well of sounding like a Risk of Rain 2 soundtrack, but doesn't add any spice to set it apart. Still, I would never call this a bad soundtrack, and a lot of the songs in the new route are true bangers. It's just trying to compete with the best soundtrack in all of gaming, in my opinion, so you can understand why I'd sound harsh on it. If Stavros does return for another DLC, I honestly just hope that he doesn't feel too scared to go wild, because I know he craves the heavy.
It's raining tacos.
All that being said, music is very different in the ears of all, and I've heard other people say that it's just as good as the previous OST. So never say never and give it a listen. So that's basically everything to go over. After all said and done, is the DLC worth the price? Yeah, definitely. It's $15, dude. That's a burger and fries. You get one of the most fun survivors in the game, plus a complete rework to the drone meta, an awesome new path, and plenty more. Unlike its predecessor, it isn't a buggy mess and you can actually enjoy the full experience right now. So go buy it if you have it, and if you have it, go enjoy it. I'll be making more Alloyed Collective oriented videos real soon, including tier lists and more, so be ready for those in the future. I heavily appreciate the very sudden increase in my channel engagement I got after the last video, and I thank you all so much for your continued support. If you want to keep super on top of uploads and access polls for voting on content, I have linked my Discord channel in this video's description and on my channel page. I'll see you all next time, and remember to get on the fucking boat, man.
Death Wish! Oh, I think I just shit myself.